Oh, hi, Andy. Thanks very much for that. Yeah, let's see how far we can get through it this time. Um, I've decided not to go back to Ukraine for a little while, let that settle down, and we left the webinar alone for a little while, so maybe this has settled down as well. We'll see. Look, guys, thanks for coming aboard, and I know that Andy wanted me to, just run through a bit of history and a few ideas, really, which is probably the best I can do. I'm knocking the door of 22 years into the business, a few of which were part-time. That was the object of the exercise. I think it's best we all start part-time, unless you haven't got a job, and then, of course, you're welcome to start full-time. But I started it part-time with the idea that when it overtook my full-time income, that I could leave. And the truth of the matter was that building the business part-time, my income exceeded £7,000 every 4 weeks, just from the Clean Easy business, which I know sounds, huge, but at that time I think my teaching income, I remember, was £1,256 and some odd pence every 4 weeks. By the time the tax man had finished and the other contributions had been taken out, and the problem was that just wasn't enough, in my opinion, to give my family the lifestyle that I wanted to give them. It wasn't enough to keep me in the fun bits that we all like, the little extras. When you're sick and fed up of counting pennies. I did have a part-time job as well, to be honest with you, and I used that to keep... I had a special word for it that I can't share with you, and Andy probably wouldn't want to edit it, but those annoying little things that turn up, called the unexpected bills, the monthly bills, and even just the day-to-day stuff, and I always tried to have a few hundred pounds aside just for that. So anyway, Clean Easy came along, and I knew of the name at the time, and I thought, right, well, okay, I'll just give this a go. But I may be like a lot of you, and I thought to myself, oh, Clean Easy, ooh, putting catalogues in letterboxes, I'm not sure that's me. Well, the point is, it's driven by catalogues. It's not about catalogues, and that's the most important thing to remember. So this was me in a job, and maybe. You know the 45-year plan, perhaps. That's where we start off at maybe 10,000 a year. I started off at something shocking when I was starting teaching, but after about 45 years, the plan is that you should be on around 30,000. Well, I didn't achieve that, and then when you retire, your income's likely to go back down where you started, really, and I think that's if you're lucky. And there's a Clean Easy option, of course, where the exponential income can kick in if you work the plan, and you might start at around the same money, maybe a little bit less, depending how hard you work. And when you get the business built properly, your income truly can become exponential. It can become out of your control, and that's really quite a good thing, in my opinion, and I'll let you make your mind up during the presentation. So what we're taught to do then is to spend 45 years effectively making other people rich. That's a good plan for the other guy. And then you retire at 65. Well, not likely, because they've changed all that, haven't they? There's another couple of years on that at the moment, because guess what? You're living too long. Do you hear me? You're living too long. How dare you? So they can't afford to pay your pension now. But what about hitting it hard for the next 3 to 5 years for you and yours? And that's exactly what I set out to do once I got my, as I call it, feet under the table, understood the business. So I don't know if you remember the job, but if you're in a 9 to 5 or recall it, you'll know this is the way it goes. The more you do, the more you get. Though I say it myself, I was pretty successful at the job that I did, at the level I did it. I was a one-time head of department, actually, and I found that the better I did, or the more helpful I was, the more work that I got. And what I also discovered was the pay packet got bigger every year. Of course, I think it was probably by about 1%. And you could never see it getting to where you would have a comfortable life. I was trying to work out, how do those people afford all those those fantastic holidays, the wonderful new cars. How do they do it? They seemed ordinary people like me in ordinary jobs. And I, incidentally, was the only breadwinner. Bit of an old-fashioned bloke in that respect, I guess, but I didn't think that my wife had to work, and I still don't. I prefer it this way. Although working together in this business is an entirely different thing, I can assure you. Provided you're happy with your wife, of course. The promotion, of course, with the job is guaranteed. Not, as I found out. And the recognition, wow, no, you don't get it. You just don't get the recognition. All you do is the more you do, the more you get, and it's as simple as that. Not even not even, it seems, a casual good job. You've helped us with this. What else can you help us with? So, a stress-free life. You may recall, or you may be in it. You know, the Monday morning feeling. Do you know? I used to look forward to Fridays. It's true. I used to not to look forward to Mondays. That's also true. I don't care now whether they're Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, any week, any day of the week you like. I'm not bothered. I do remember that I used to like the end of terms, and I know for some school teachers that might be out there, that's coming up right now, and you'd be feeling happy about that to a certain extent, although I suspect you've got work to do. But then, of course, you've got to go back. And I don't know about you, but the longer summer holidays that we had, when about a week before going back to school approached, I had this dark cloud that followed me for a week. It was so repressive, depressing, that it just used to push me down. Of course, it was never quite as bad when you got there, but it was dread, just dread. The exciting week ahead. So you have. When you're working, you've got all the choices as well. You can go shopping when you're allowed, which is always at peak times because you work when everyone else works. But now I shop when I want to. I avoid the queues. If I want to go and look at a new car, I don't go at the weekends. If I want to go down to the shops, yeah, I do go at the weekends. It's my choice. But I, often go during the day when it's not so busy, when you can easily get around. And I think that's wonderful, actually. And of course, your time is your own, isn't it? When I was in teaching, it was deadlines, all these reports to do. I remember being up till 3 o'clock in the morning I'm not kidding, about 2 or 3 weeks on the trot when we had inspections, and it was killing. And I figured that if I carried on that way, that I'd probably be dead by my mid-50s, to be honest. And I'm marginally older than that now. So there's all the bills as well that I've told you about. Everything was on top of you, and it was always peak holidays. You could only holiday during school holidays, effectively, and that's been really leaned on now, hasn't it? Don't take your kids away during term times and such as that. So you're always paying top dollar, and there's endless worry about making ends meet. The advantages of all that, of course, are job security for life. Well, I don't think so. The best years of your life are given to a boss. They're not your own. To retire at 65, not a snowball's chance now. And if you have really squirreled away well, you may retire on about 50% of your salary if you've done a really good job. You'll be a lucky one if you've done that. I could tell you about what my pension's worth. I've got a huge pension. My pension's worth next to nothing, to be honest with you. About less than half my teaching salary was. So, what people do in normal jobs with pensions, Lord only knows. Of course, you can depend on the government pension scheme that we all know is a Ponzi, because it's all based on other people coming in to fund you, the younger people working. Of course, the challenge is you've got all the time you need and little money, and you probably need a part-time job for those luxuries like the central heating as well. It's getting tougher. Well, probably especially as Mr. Putin might start to put the gas up now. Well, there you go. Or you can do it our way. you know, you can live on the retail alone. I came into the business with the security, and I've never lived on the retail alone, to be honest with you, but I know people in my team that do, and I know that it's more than possible if you work, and there's no way you're going to do 40 hours with Clean Easy, even purely retail. So you can live on that retail alone. You can set your own hours. You can decide when you switch the phone on. You can decide when you start the day. You can decide when you finish the day. If you want to work into, I was up this morning, worked to 2 o'clock in the morning. It's peaceful and quiet, and I'm happy with that. But I chose to do that. I didn't have someone else telling me what to do. You can holiday when it's convenient and cheaper. The pension is limited only by you. And of course you get all the tax breaks with our business as well, which is fantastic. But it's important that you get a plan. You have to decide exactly where you want to be. You know, at the end of the day, without some kind of plan, you're really not going to get anywhere at all. I always say, well, you know, if you reach for the stars, you might land on the moon. So if you decide you want to be very wealthy with Clean Easy, we got these pin levels that some of you might not know about right now if you're new to this evening. But a pin level kind of denotes an income, roughly, depends on the shape of your business. So you could say, well, this is what I want to make to your sponsor. What level have I got to be? Set your goal, set your sights on that, and well, above it actually, and aim for that, and you probably end up with maybe a little bit less than you planned, but just keep doing the same old thing and you get there. You've got to employ yourself, you know. So many people are employed by other people and are told what to do. That's why you need to do the following, which is get a plan and commit to it. And I think it's also important, if you really want to get this thing to work for you, is to let absolutely nothing distract you for 90 days. And what do you do after those 90 days? I mean nothing, you know, nothing to distract you for 90 days if you seriously want it. But of course everyone takes the business at their own level, and that is entirely up to you. No one's going to say to you, oh, you're not doing enough, or whatever. You know, that's always your choice. But this would be my advice: let nothing distract you for 90 days, and then do it again and again and again. Just keep doing those 90-day segments. You know, we got trainings for getting to gold in 90 days, and it's doable, but you've got to do it. So you have to get into the system. Now, you know, essentially the business is mindlessly simple, which is why I like it. And just to qualify that sentence, I thought to myself, well, you know, when I posted my first catalogue through letterboxes, I went back 2 days later and picked up orders from people I'd never seen, never spoke to, nothing. I thought, oh my God, anyone can do this. Absolutely anyone can do it. So it's mindlessly simple. And then what I decided to do, because I made some money on that, I decided to share that with other people. And there's no product knowledge. There's nothing you need to do to know, except today actually I worked out how to make one of those can openers work. That was quite exciting with a couple of batteries. Not quite as simple as I thought, but I was clever enough to do it. You know, you're going to need to educate yourself as well. You know, in terms of thinking the way that we think, thinking independently. You know, you're going to need to educate your team, and to be a leader, you need to facilitate your team as well. You need to make sure that you have what your team needs, the answers, etc. And at the end of the day, when you're given advice by your upline, don't question. You know, really don't question. There's too much evidence. If your uplines on their upline have achieved anything at all, there's already too much evidence. It concerns me, you know, because the wheel works fine. It's round. It's great. Don't reinvent it. If you make it like a threepenny bit, it doesn't work. Don't go Hollywood, you know. I've seen so many people that become victims of their own success. They go off, they think they're amazing, and they go off and lead their own group, and it's all about them. You know, it's not about you, it's about your team. Lose your ego or you lose your business. It's really that simple, okay? No egos necessary in Clean Easy at all. Importantly, this is what you've got to do next. Act on your plan. You know, it's easy. I've spoken to people that they say, oh, yeah, I'm just decorating the office. I'll be ready to get started next week. This guy must have been way back in the early 90s. Never heard from him. Maybe he started the business somewhere else, I don't know, but certainly not with me that I know of. But they never get started, you know. So get yourself, first of all, a retail story, an income story. You have to know what it's like to deliver and collect the catalogs and to deliver the products. You have to have that feeling. You can't just build a team without that feeling, I assure you. People can hear it in your voice. They know if you've done it or not. It's really quite simple. I'd make a warm list, and that's the people that you know. I always say that it's a much better plan to share a gold mine that you find in your back garden with your family, although I suppose there's some people out there that wouldn't share it with their family. You know, they're not always all the best. But, you know, for me, I'd share it with my family first before I put an advert in the newspaper or went out putting shop cards out or anything like that. Share it with the people that you know. If they're not interested in the gold mine, well, that's fine. Just keep them informed about how much you're digging out of the back garden. You're going to need to generate some leads as well. In other words, some people that want to come into the business, but you need to set yourself a minimum on a weekly basis. You've got to have goals. You've got to have some kind of target, and you're going to need to stick to those. Just like you're employed, you know. Yes, you can get time out, but you need to stick to your plan. Importantly, what you need to do when you get these things and you send information or whatever it is that you do one way or another, you need to follow up. You need to talk to them again. So many people don't do that. You know, all the groups out there have trainings, and you need to get to all the trainings. I used to drive for hours at night just to go to a training to meet people. I would do the distance. Of course, we can cut the distance down now. We've got webinars like this one and everything, so it's fantastic. Just get a few friends around your place and show them what it's all about. Importantly is to make sure that you have a word with your team. Get your team to all the trainings as well. It's like I said, it isn't about you, it's about the team. All right? Yeah, it's about making as much as you can, but it's about showing your team how to make enough money so that they become successful, so that you become successful, and it all starts with ABC. All right, simple as ABC. A is for action, and I love this actually. You know, so many people sit on their tushes with dreams, plans, and goals, hoping they'll win the lottery. I'll put my hands up. I'd love to win the lottery as well. Wouldn't that be a bonus on top of a bonus? But you know, I know that the odds are really against me. I don't know how many 1,000,000 to 1, but I'm much more likely to die than win the lottery. So, you know, you've got to have a backup plan. So A is for action, and those plans and those dreams and those goals, those hopes, you know, that future that you plan for you and maybe you and your family, I don't know, that have no value. Absolutely no value unless they're followed by action. So you have to get off your backside and act. And B, of course, is belief. You know, if you believe you cannot, then you won't. And if you believe you can, you will. You know, age is not a barrier to this. You know, it's if you're convinced you can't make it, you know, if you're convinced you're too old, if you're convinced you're too young, if you're convinced you're not clever enough, if you're convinced about anything that will stop you doing the business, then you're absolutely correct. So the way to do that actually is to spend some time, I think, on a little bit of personal development and understand that that you know you can do whatever you want to do if you want to do it badly enough. C is for courage, of course, and you know, don't think for 1 minute I wasn't terrified of picking up the phone when I first started. You know, you have to call and speak to the interested party, the leads as we call them, the prospects, and you have to pick it up, and it might be a bit daunting. You know, you might walk to the phone and you go, oh, I'll do it in a minute, I'll just have a cup of tea. I'll do it in a minute, or I'll just have a cup of coffee. I'll just go and watch that program on TV. That's a killer, that TV, you know. You have to be brave enough to pick up the phone, and do you know what? It really isn't so bad. Not anything like as bad as you thought it was. And sometimes you get the odd frosty prospect. That is their problem. It's not your problem. You know what you've got to offer is an escape from 9 to 5, and that's up to them if they want to take it or not. Okay. And of course, finish with your D for determination, because even when you become enormously successful, you'll still have those challenges, and you'll still have those times when you don't want or whatever, and you know you have to be determined. But I think particularly when your business is young, you know, you can be chipping away, a bit like this guy in the mine. You think, oh, it's not getting anywhere. I'll give you the story of John Hawkes. There was John Hawkes, and his business was turning over over a decade ago now, about 19,000 every 4 weeks. And all of a sudden, you know, across the Christmas period, it dropped back, and I think it was about 12,000. And he kept working at it and working, and nothing was happening. And I guess it was almost every day we spoke, and it was possibly almost every day he moaned. And I said to him, John, let's answer a question here. Why did you join? And he said, well, I joined to earn £1,000 a month. And I said, John, are you making £1,000 a month? So he said, yes. So I said, in that case, what are you complaining about? I said, I'll tell you what else. What I do know, John, to be honest with you, is that as long as you keep doing what you know works, not only will your business reach the same size again, it will exceed it. I mean, and the rest is history if you take a look at the figures. All right, you know, well, you'll see probably in a minute what John's achieved. So determination, you can't quit. All right, but you have to work it like these guys. This is Andy Stevenson. I remember him sitting on my on the sofa in my lounge, and Andy was asking, well, you know, do you think it'll work? Do this, do that? Yes, Andy, of course it will if you work it. And he only wanted to pay his mortgage, about £300 a month at the time, I think it was, and he achieved that quite quickly. Then all of a sudden the switch flicked, and Andy went for it, and Andy became Premier. And it's just an example of the top achievers on the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and it's just a little something else that they achieved as well. And, you know, he's got the benefit, and Claire's got the benefit of not working, and he's at home with his child, watching her growing up. You know, I think that's a bit of a choker, to be honest, but it's fantastic, and it's there and available for anyone that wants it, provided you work for it. And of course, there's our other achievers here, Mike and Amanda. You know, there's lots of others in the team as well, but Mike and Amanda Bibby, you know, Mike was an ex-prison warden, and he just came out and he just hammered the business, and he let nothing get in his way, and the results speak for themselves. You can create your own lifestyle. So if you want a millionaire income, it's being achieved right now. And when you are a multi-millionaire, I mean, clearly you can dress up like a girl if it suits you. Yeah, and Richard has great fun doing that. But you know, one day Richard might actually join our business. I'm still working on signing him up. And here's John and Jeanette Hawkes, other premiers in the business. As you can see, that's his car in the background. It's Rolls Royce, and that was his choice. That was one of his ambitions. You know, cares less about cars these days, but the guy's made a fortune in the business. And close friend, best man at my wedding, and just awesome stuff. The people and the relationships you have in the business. And you know what? They even give you, oh my God, they give you cars for earning money. At an early stage now, you can just get a mini taxed and insured, ready to drive. There's a mini available at bronze for consistency as well, but that's ownership. That's the difference, you know. And that's yours, or 10 grand in cash. You please yourself. Further up, they'll give you cash bonuses, and they'll give you, you know, a Jaguar or a Mercedes. Again, it's consistency. You know, build a business that's consistent and or growing. So all of these freebies that's available, like trips to Miami. That's my wife Albina holding a crocodile there. I've been on some of these conferences, so many photographs that I should show you, but I don't want to show you all the holiday snaps. But I'm trying to give you the emotion that's available with the business. And I was down there with Mike and Amanda Bibby and Steve Johnson and Rosemary Roundtree in my team. We were down in Thailand, and I've got a photograph of us all sat together and me holding and feeding a tiger. And you know, in amongst lions, literally in amongst lions as well. Where else? With Clean Easy, they've taken us all around the world. This is, can't remember who owns this Bongos, but she's a pop star. Sorry, dear. And that's a photograph of Albina and I outside that. Just absolutely fantastic. This is a little bit about the holiday home. This is the apartment out there. We did a fair bit of renovation on, to be honest, and this is Albina checking out that the toilet's the right shape, because everything has to land in the right place. And as she's doing that, there's a young child walking past. She said, "What are you doing?" She said, and she spoke in Russian, of course, and she said, "Oh, I'm looking for treasure." So anyway, that's my bit of toilet humour for the presentation. This is the beach down in Odessa. The sand, it's very old, you know. It's the whole country's way back in date, but yet aspects of it are modern, and it's really quite lovely. And they got their own challenges over there right now, but you know, that place is 20 minutes walk from the apartment, you know, and it paid for with Clean Easy money. And this is over in Monaco. This is quite some time ago. Guess this must be just before 2000, I think. One of the trips to Monaco, and you know, that's famous for money and cars and stuff. So I'm sat in between the Aston Martin and the Lamborghini over there, or stood in between it, and you know, spoiled for choice, and I was. And at the end of that trip, they actually awarded me with this with a Porsche Boxster. They hired one, and I followed the bus around Monaco as well. What a wonderful feeling! And when I came back, I had my own Porsche. After the Porsche, I bought my first Ferrari. I actually went up to look at a second-hand one and end up buying a brand new one, and that at the time was £125,000. And the cocky salesman said, "Well, if you don't want it, I can certainly pick up the phone and sell it this afternoon." So I thought, well, okay, we'll have that. But that's not me being flash. I had the money to go and do that. And no, I didn't pay for it all in one go, but you know, in short order, that was taken care of. So that was the first one, convertible, and this is the second one. This is a very special car, and I still have it. I'm not selling it. It's a Ferrari Challenge Stradale, and I'm sorry if motor cars don't float your boat. They don't do so much for my boat these days, but I still like a good drive. But this is a special. This is a track car built for the road, and that now is quietly appreciating and being occasionally driven in the garage. So that's great stuff. That, by the way, was down in the region of Champagne. This is my third red car. That was a bit of a fun, because I lost my license for about 6 months. That was the reason I lost my license. So that was bought for someone else to chauffeur me around, to be honest with you. I also had an X5 at the same time as that. Just recently, I've picked up this car. It's an Infinity, and I got it because it's rare. There's not many of them around, and it's a diesel 3-litre M. It's got absolutely everything that my old BMW M5 that cost me 70,000 quid had, except the 0-60 time. All the toys, and that thing, just so that you know, I suppose, is about 40,000. New at that price. That's the Infinity M. So that's another one of the little toys, you know. But at the top end of the plan, they had the Ferrari, to be honest, at one time. But as you can see, I couldn't be bothered to wait for that. When you make that much money, well, why wouldn't you? But you know, it's your opportunity, and it's your choice. This is my income from the start right the way through to August 2012. Must be 7 million by now, I suppose. Haven't really added up, but at the end of the day, 6.5 million nearly there. I mean, if you told me how much I was going to make from Clean Easy when I started, believe me, I worked hard, but I assure you, I would have worked twice as hard. because twice as hard would have made easily twice as much money when things multiply. And you know, who couldn't do with twice as much as they got? I don't know anyone that couldn't. So there you go. It is your opportunity. It is your choice. That's an average now of around about 300,000 a year for 21 years. That's just huge. So make a choice, ladies and gentlemen. There's room at the top, and there's new stars achieving all the time. Join us, go the extra mile, because I promise you there's not much traffic on the extra mile. Thanks, and I'll hand you back to Andy.